All right, what's up, beautiful people? Just parked the car, got back from my gig, my last-minute gig. Got the call today at like noon to do Arturo's with Eldad Zvaloon at the piano. Eldad called me today. Last-minute sub, can you do Arturo's tonight, the duo jazz type of situation? And I'm like, yeah, on it, man. Love it. Got the executive parking spot, like in front of the door to Arturo's. What is better than that? Standards, Steely Dan, Stevie Wonder, Coal Oven Pizza. Parking spot, like straight line from the driver's seat to the bandstand. It's a beautiful thing. And by the bandstand, I mean the corner where the piano is. But in any case, I want to give a shout out to Tom Semioli and Mike Viseglia, two bassists coming down and hanging out, along with Margaret LaBombard, bassist who I just met today, and Margaret's friend, whose name I can't remember. But there was a big bass player hang tonight at the Parkside Lounge. That I could not make because I was working the Arturo's gig. But they all came by afterward, and we had a little bass chat, and it was all good. Ride jams. What were you listening to in the car, John? I'm glad you asked. On the way into the gig, into the city, I was by myself. Eldad was already in the city. We were running Smithereens, especially for you. The debut album. Still on the Smithereens kick, celebrating the music of the late, great Pat Denizio. I'm going to go out and say it. Those of you Smithereens fans that have not listened to the music yet because it's too painful or whatever, you need to listen to the music, okay? If you miss Pat, I totally understand. This is where Pat is now, okay? He gave 1,000% of himself in this music. You gotta listen to it. Trust me, it's good for you. I say it all the time, listen to music, it's good for you. It's good for the soul to listen to Pat. He doesn't want you to not, because if you don't listen to the music, then he's really gone. Then that's it, okay? You gotta put this stuff on. And this album especially, when I was a teenager, I got this album when I was like 15, and I loved this album. I've loved it for for years. But hearing it again as an adult, as a 45-year-old professional musician, listening to the craft of how this thing is put together, it's like, do you have albums in your collection that you hear again, like as an adult, you're hearing them fresh and going like, oh my God, I didn't realize just how good you're just appreciating it on a whole other level. Besides like when I was a kid, just the feeling and the vibe of the tunes, like, yeah, this is great. But now I'm listening, I'm like, wow, everything in this production has its place. Like everything fits. Like there's not one wasted note anywhere in this thing, and it still retains all of the power and the vibe that it had back in the day, and it does not sound dated. That's the other thing that cracks me up about the Smithereens, is that back in the 80s, people were like, oh, well, they're like, a 60s influenced band. Meanwhile, this stuff, the Smithereens stuff, has aged so much better than so much of the stuff that was going on around it. I mean, if you think of the music that was coming out in like 86, 87, what it sounds like now. This album, all the Smithereens albums, I've been going back and listening to all of them. All the Smithereens albums sound like they were recorded tomorrow. Seriously. None of their stuff is dated at all. It's a beautiful thing. So I listened to basically side 2 of this album. I started at Behind the Wall Sleep and went down. So that lasted me about half of the drive. And then the rest of the drive out to the gig and then back home, Back home, I had Eldad in the car with me, and we were listening together to Mingus. Mingus. Originally, the album was called Mingus, and they shortened it. That's not true. I just made that up. This one's got Mood Indigo. This one's got Better Get Hit in Your Soul. Theme for Lester Young. You know, I don't. If you already know, there we go. I'm a sucker, first of all, for anything that's on the Impulse label. Whether it's Art Blakey, Sonny Rollins, Coltrane, whatever it is, jazz on Impulse, I'm your man. If you already know Mingus, I don't need to explain it to you. And if you don't know Mingus, I really can't explain it to you. You just got to go down the rabbit hole and get it. This is a good starter. This one, and what was the one I had up here recently on Ride Jams? Blues and Roots, which is on Atlantic. It's like, not big band, because it's like small. His groups are like smaller than a big band, but bigger than like a sextet. Like they'd be like maybe, I don't know, like 8 or 9 pieces or something like that. Let's see, who do we got here? And it's like raw and bluesy and gospely, and the arranging is, it's you know, you just got to check it out. So we got like 2 trumpets, bone, tuba, baritone sax, tenor, clarinet, flute, alto, you know, just get yourself some Mingus. That's all. That's, you know, trying to, you know, talking about music is like dancing about architecture, as they say. There's no sense in me trying to explain what Mingus sounds like to someone who's never heard it before. And if you know, you know. And if you don't know, now you know. Or something. Friday night, driving to Long Island, doing the classic rock type thing with the LPs. FM radio jams, doing it to you in your ear hole, or some kind of thing like that. I don't even know what I'm saying because I'm exhausted, because it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I should be upstairs in bed, not talking into my phone. Listen to music. It's good for you. I'll see you on the next one. Be well.